Send a message that the bullying and the lies and the hate have to stop. We outnumber them. So let's pool our power, vote with our wallets, and beat these assholes.
G'day, and welcome to Comics Mate, your mates in comics from the land down under. I'm Dean James, and today we're going to be talking about how the Whisper Network and their cancel pig mob of psychos have finally gotten what they always wanted. Because after years of lambasting the fans and falsely labeling them racists, homophobes, and bigots, they have killed the American comic book industry. At least that's what industry insiders and fans are now speculating after this recent job listing from Marvel Studios.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Okay. But before we get into all that, please like this video to help push it out into the algorithm and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. Now let's jump right into it. From Fandom Pulse, Marvel Comics may be getting cut by Disney if a new job posting is any indication. If even Disney is deciding to cut you loose because of how terribly you're doing, you know that you really screwed up. Disney might have accidentally dropped some damning news for the mainstream comic industry in the form of a job listing. Comic shops have been struggling at all-time lows for sales heading into the second half of 2024, and now it appears as if Marvel Comics may be on the chopping block. We, the fans, have been trying to warn the creators at Marvel for what seems like forever at this point, but all they ever did was accuse everyone who wasn't happy with the direction they were taking of being bigots, despite the fact that their sales numbers were so low that it was obviously not just the vocal minority who were fed up with the far-left pandering and the constant virtue signaling in their stories. And don't even get me started on the kindergarten level art in most of the books. But creators like Dan Slott and Mark Waid would rather watch the entire industry burn than give the fans what they have actually been asking for. People want escapism, not Tumblr-level gay fanfiction involving the writer's self-inserts and once fan-favourite characters. It seems that every other week comic stores are closing, and most of the lines of mainstream comics are being met with indifference, while alternatives are funded on platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo regularly. I've actually covered this a few times already, but long story short, basically what's been happening since around 2012 is that comic store owners have been complaining that they can't sell the crap coming out of Marvel and DC. And do you want to guess how they reacted to these small business owners genuinely pleading for things to improve? That's right, they lambasted those store owners as bigots, racists, and homophobes before attacking them on a more personal level. Check out this video if you want to know more. Meanwhile, manga and indie comics have been thriving, but despite all of this evidence that the mainstream American comic book industry is in shambles, they still refuse to change anything and continue to blame the fans of these once great entertainment juggernauts. For a long time, the mainstream comic industry media would cover for the situation with outlets like Comic Beat from Heidi MacDonald outright lying to consumers and saying that the sales were fine for Marvel and DC. Heidi MacDonald, of course, is one of the 12 psychos of Twitter, known as the Whisper Network, who using their combined control of the comic book press have abused countless people and even led some notable creators to commit suicide. In recent months, however, mainstream comic book professionals like Chip Zdarsky, the writer of the current line-wide Marvel Comics event, admit there's a myriad of problems with the comic book industry. Kudos to him for doing that too. But when pressed on the matter, he failed to specify what those problems actually were. Maybe because he was afraid of being attacked by the same mob that attack everyone else? Writers and editors at the company still haven't admitted the main problem, an industry that doesn't give the fans what they want but relentlessly pushes race and gender-swapped characters while turning other beloved characters into LGBTQ lectures to their audiences. This is honestly the biggest problem in comic books today. This isn't the 40s anymore. Nobody cares if you're gay, or black, or whatever, so you can stop pretending like you're somehow a victim because of something you can't control. It's pathetic and exhausting to deal with. As a wise man once said, not everything has to be gay. The recent success of Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman shows that just giving the fans a kernel of hope, such as Peter Parker being married to Mary Jane, is enough to get people in on Wednesdays. But those kinds of books are few and far between. Ultimate Spider-Man is by far the best thing coming out at Marvel at the moment. There's nothing that even comes close to it, and that shows in the sales too. The first issue broke records and became the #1 selling comic book that month, beating out Batman by almost double. Unfortunately, that isn't enough to save the company from going under. Now a job posting has surfaced which appears like Marvel Comics might be folding into Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios went through a recent round of layoffs after the MCU's underperformance, and Disney Plus numbers are reaching new lows to pair with their comic book partners. But of course, they won't acknowledge why this is happening. Instead, they will blame readers, claiming that we just aren't interested in comics anymore. Which is obviously a lie. Just look at manga and indie comics to see it's not that we aren't interested in comics, it's that we're not interested in political propaganda where our superheroes are supposed to be. And as long as Marvel continue to give work to freaks like Vita Ayala or Dan Slott, their sales will continue to fall off until there's nothing left of the mainstream comic book industry. But they still won't even admit there's a problem. They will no doubt continue down this path like the dogmatic cultists that they are. It seems that Disney might be seeing redundancy in having a Hollywood apparatus for these properties and a comic book publisher as well. The job posting listed on May 20th is looking for a publishing operations analyst. The duties of this position follow the weekly schedules of production for monthly books, much like Marvel Comics does with its regular publishing schedule. All that tells me is that the comics won't be shutting down entirely, but will instead become nothing more than an extension of the MCU, just like the Disney Plus series. And we all know how well that's worked out so far. The job is clearly listed as being part of Marvel Studios, which marks a change from being involved with Marvel Comics. Fans and industry insiders alike are speculating that this might be the cancellation of Marvel Comics as an autonomous publishing line, which would fold the operation into Marvel Studios as a whole. Yeah, because Disney really knows how to make a success these days, right? I'm sure this won't be the first step towards the complete shuttering of Marvel. In all honesty, the last thing Marvel Comics needs right now is more of the Disney brand messaging in its books, which, if these insiders are to be believed, is the direction that the comics are heading. As the comics industry continues its death throes, Marvel Editor-in-Chief C.B. Cebulski has been quiet about the problems in the industry. With very little sign of any course correction in the content to appeal to a wider audience, perhaps Disney is mandating that Marvel Studios try to turn it around. Turn it around by merging the two failing branches of the same company together?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
I honestly don't know how they can, quote, turn it around without a complete overhaul of the creative talent they have on staff. Meaning they fire all of the complete failures they have working there at the moment and hire some actual talent for the first time in 10 years.
You're fired!
But who knows, maybe that's exactly what they'll do. The good news is that this position appears to be looking for someone from the outside, and not someone within Marvel already. This would make for a set of fresh eyes that might actually make substantive changes to the comic book publishing operation. Well, at least they're self-aware enough to know that nobody within their walls has the creative talent to turn this car crash of a franchise around. I just hope it's not too late. Obviously, I hate the people who are currently in charge, but that doesn't mean I hate the characters they're in charge of. Comics have meant a lot to me for as long as I can remember, and they deserve better than being the woke idiots' political mouthpieces.
Don't you think we deserve better? 'Cause I do.
Personally, I'd like to see some of the better indie creators take a shot at characters like Spider-Man or the X-Men, but we all know that's not going to happen because Marvel has become little more than a big gay friends club, and nobody outside of their political bubble is invited. But that's all I have for you today. My name's Dean James, your mate in comics from the land down under. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.